Pangulo, nais ko naman pong magbigay ng konting pahayag sapagkat nabanggit po ng ating Ginoong Pangulo ang patungkol po sa pagtatayo ng mga pasilidad para po sa mga involved po sa droga. Nais ko lamang pong banggitin sa ating plenaryo nung panahon po na ako po ay nakulong sa Bilibid, si Ginoong Pangulo po ang tumulong po sa amin makapagtayo ng therapeutic center sa loob. Kung natatandaan niyo po, Ginoong Pangulo.
Opo, tatandaan ko po, tsaka pinadagdagan ko po yung
building po sa loob.
Yung pagkain po ninyo, pinataasan ko yung budget.
Yan po ang mga... Kaya isa pong malaking tulong po ito sa Bilibid sapagkat dito po ay naihiwalay po yung mga drug offenders doon po sa mga tinatawag po natin na mga kriminal. At ito po, nagkaroon po kami ng mga building doon. At ito po ngayon ay kinikilala na programa po sa PAGCOR. Meron lang po ako sana na mababanggit din po sana dito sa ngayon na dapat din po natin pong harapin. May kinalaman din po ito. Sa ngayon po kasi yung atin pong mga kulungan ay napakarami pong mga drug offenders po ngayon na nakakulong. At katunayan po, halos ang buong population po, sabihin na natin, 80% ay drug offenders po. Sana magkaroon din po tayo ng mga panukala na makapaghihiwalay po sa atin, doon po sa mga usapin na kung sino po yung mga heavy user, doon naman po sa mga light users pa lang, na wag po sana silang mapasama doon sa mga tinatawag po natin ng mga pusakal na kriminal. Yun lamang po. Maraming salamat po uli sa inyong lahat.
Salamat po. Salamat po, Mr. President. I wish to thank the distinguished gentleman from Camarines, from Bicol and Nueva Ecija, Senator Robin Padilla. Yes, tama po yun. Mga 70 to 75% po ng nakakulong ay drug-related actually, yung kanilang mga kaso. At yung sinasabi po nila na suggestion na baka maihiwalay, pwede po natin yan i-incorporate doon sa tinatayo po na separate facilities for heinous criminals na ihiwalay po sila. So mangyayari po, aalisin natin dapat sa Muntinlupa yung New Bilibid Prison sa Muntinlupa at ililipat natin ang mga taga Luzon sa Luzon, ang mga taga Visayas sa Visayas at ang mga taga Mindanao sa Mindanao. Bakit po naisipan yan at nilagay ko puro sa batas yan? Sapagkat ang nabalitaan ko, at ito po ay mapapatunayan ng ating kaibigan at ating kasamang senador, Mr. President, na kapag ang isang PDL or person deprived of liberty ay hindi na dinadalaw ng pamilya, yan po ay based on my research at saka pag-aaral po yan. Marami pong inabot ang sa akin ng Department of Justice during that time. Sa matter of fact, binigay ko po kay Senator Frank Rilon yan nung araw when he was Secretary of Justice, na kapag hindi na dinadalaw ng pamilya, doon nag-uumpisang magloko yung PDL. Doon na nakakasama ng mga gang, na barkada, na siguro po ay mapapatunayan ito ni Senator Padilla.
Totoo po yan. Opo, ako po'y sumasang-ayon sa atin pong Ginoong Pangulo. Sa katunayan po, nung 19th Congress, ako doon po ay nagsulong ng regionalization. Totoo po yun. Kapag ang tawag po namin dyan, mga tawid dagat. Kapag ang tawid dagat po ay hindi na nadalaw, eto na po, nagkakaroon na po ng mental health issues na po talaga. At nauuwi na po ito minsan sa pagiging buryong. Yun po ang tawag namin doon. Pag naburyong yan, ay pwede na po yan talaga minsan mag-amok o manaksak. Opo. Yan po yung mga tunay na problema. At napakaganda pong marinig na ito po ay pag-uusapan po uli. At inshallah ay magkaroon po ng batas na maging regional na po talaga ang Bilibid.
Sa ngayon po, ito'y nandoon na. It's a matter of the Executive Department executing it now. Kasi nga, tama yung binanggit nila. At no, sumasang-ayon siya sa sinabi namin, sumasang-ayon din po ako sa kwento niya. Sapagkat kapag ikaw ay, ang isang PDL ay taga Sultan Kudarat, paano kang bidalawin sa Muntinlupa? Baka once a year hindi ka madalaw nun. Lalo na kung ito'y kapos. Kapos. At karamihan sa ating mga kababayan doon ay kapos. So pag hindi na dinadalaw, yun ang nag-umpisa. So dali natin sila sa Mindanao, yung mga taga Mindanao, taga Bisaya sa Visayas, at yung mga taga Luzon sa Luzon. Ang mangyayari po niyan, at sineperate po natin yung mga loko, yung mga heinous criminals, sineperate natin yan. Yung Muntinlupa po, 324 hectares, tama ba? 324 hectares po yun. Ang laki pong ginhawa sa gobyerno to. Kung ito'y gagawin na lang natin, imbis na NBP, gagawin natin itong university belt. University belt. Marami pong magtatayo ng mga eskwela at university ron. At magiging growth corridor po yan papunta sa south ng Luzon at ng Metro Manila. Malaking bagay po yun at I hope maumpisa na po yan. Ang alam ko, when Secretary Remulla was DOJ Secretary, they started already the groundbreaking for that. So, sana po matuloy at salamat sa inyong pagsuporta at pagtangkilik, Your Honor.
Apo, maraming salamat po, Ginoong Pangulo. Meron lang po akong idadagdag, konti lang po doon. Nakapag-usapan din po namin ito. Totoo po yun ni Secretary Remulla nung siya po ang DOJ. Ni-request ko lang po sa kanya na sana i-maintain lang yung maximum prison na parang Alcatraz po, na wag namang gibain kasi very historical po yung maximum prison, na kung ito po ay matutuloy, magkakaroon po ng paglilipat, sana lang po i-maintain lang yon sapagkat napaka-historical po nung main building po ng Bilibid. Maraming salamat po, Ginoong Pangulo.
Pwede pong maging museum. Maliit na party lang naman po yan, so pwede po yung suggestion niya. Thank you. And again, 11928 was co-authored by Senator Mig Subiri, Mr. President, just for the record.
Senator Joel Villanueva is recognized.
Mr. President, just very short, Mr. President, manifestation, and if I may just raise one question to our dear Senate President. First of all, at the onset, may I just put into the records of this August Chamber my sincerest thanks and gratitude and support to the privileged speech given by our Senate President. Just one thing that I'd like to raise that touched my heart is when the Senate President made mention not only about all this, the pressure, peer pressure, escape, availability, curiosity, and the last one was mentioned, yung emptiness, Mr. President. And emptiness stems from the fact that a person has no course or hope anymore to live and fight another day. And that's why dun po sila pumupunta. And binanggit po ng ating Ginoong Pangulo na napakahalaga ng pananampalataya, napakahalaga ng relationship sa Diyos, napakahalaga ng mayroon kang pinupuntahan at nakakausap through prayers, Mr. President. And I remember there was a time in the history of this country when we actually focus on moral recovery program, wherein we involve religious groups, religious sectors. I have talked to so many people, Mr. President, and I don't know if our Senate President would agree with this representation. I have talked to so many people, experts, etc., and our Senate President's been fighting this menace in our society for almost 40 years now. And they have been saying, Mr. President, maraming programa ang pumapalpak kahit na merong lugar, kahit mayroong building, kahit mayroong programa, etc. Pero kung wala po yung moral aspect, yung pong paggabay, pastor man ito, pari man ito, imam man ito, Mr. President, pag bigay ng importansya sa relasyon niya sa kanyang Diyos, sa kanyang tagapagligtas, then it is impossible really to redeem and to rehabilitate a person who is drug dependent, Mr. President. So I just wanted to ask our dear Senate President about this and how we can really mas mapaigting pa, mas mapalalim pa yung pagkakaroon o pag-i-involve ng tinatawag na moral recovery program, Mr. President?
Yes, Mr. President. Tama po yun. Iyan po isa sa mga pinakamahalaga na parte sa atin sa buong buhay, hindi lang tungkol sa droga, kundi sa kabuuan natin. Yung moral recovery ng ating bansa, we will have to focus on faith. Whatever religion we believe in, we must focus on faith. As a matter of fact, yun po sa sinasabi ko sa rehabilitation program, ang isa ho sa pinakamatalab, aside from therapeutic community, yung pong faith-based. Yung faith-based rehabilitation program, ang isa sa pinaka-effective na programa, Mr. President. And the moral recovery is immediate. Iba talaga kapag ang kausap mo ay ang Panginoon Diyos at talagang ibinubukas mo ang sarili mo at isinusuko mo sa Kanya. Ang malaking bagay po ang nangyayari at marahil we can think of a way of how we can incorporate it in the authority that I am proposing, the Presidential Drug Enforcement Authority. Because aside from the 4 major concerns that I mentioned, there is this new technique of alternative development. And perhaps after alternative development that we can use, we can also infuse moral recovery. Mas madali hong mako-convert yung mga drug dependent kung magkakaroon ng moral recovery program and faith-based as much as possible. Yes, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will fully support that, and thank you, Mr. President, for that very clear answer, Mr. President, especially based on experience by our Senate President. Importante ho na talagang isa-puso, masaisip, at talagang maintindihang mabuti ng isang mamamayan na ang kanyang buhay ay mahalaga at merong patutunguhan ang kanyang buhay kung meron siyang pagkilala at pananampalataya sa pinananaligan niya na Diyos. Maraming salamat, Ginoong Pangulo. Thank you, Mr. President.
Salamat din po. Salamat po, Mr. President. Thank you.
Majority Leader.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, our dear Senate President, for his privileged speech. Mr. President, I move that we refer to the Committee on Public Order and Dangerous Drugs the privileged speech of the distinguished Senate President together with all the manifestations and interpellations done.
Mr. President,
Senate President,
may we
recognized.
please ask the Majority Leader to include also the Committee on Justice?
Oh, yes, Mr. President, a secondary committee, Committee on Justice.
So referred. Is there an objection? Hearing none, so referred.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move that we take up proposed Senate Resolution number 297. I so move, Mr. President.
Is there an objection? Hearing none. Asan na yun?
297, Mr. President. Resolution 297.
Senate Resolution 1794.
Or maybe before that, Mr. President, I move to withdraw that motion and proceed with the reference of business, Mr. President, so that we can put that clearly on the record. Mr. President, I move for the reference of business and withdraw the previous motion.
Reference muna. Doon ako nakatingin eh.
Bills on first reading. Senate Bill number 1794, Anak, establishing a 25-bed capacity hospital in Barangay Casigang Municipality of Santo Tomas, Province of Davao del Norte, to be known as the Santo Tomas Municipal Hospital in operating Funds 4 by Senator Marcos.
Referred to the Committee on Rules.
1795, Anak, establishing a post-traumatic stress disorder awareness and education program by Senator Villar M.
Referred to the Committee on Health and Demography.
1796, Anak, establishing the Philippine National Public Park System and operating Funds 4 by Senator Villar M.
Referred to the Committees on Urban Planning, Housing and Resettlement, Tourism, Ways and Means, and Finance.
1797, Anak, proclaiming the first Friday of March as Firefighters Recognition Day by Senator Villar M.
To the Committee on Public Order and Dangerous Drugs.
1798, Anak, integrating a comprehensive study of Philippine history during World War II into the higher education curriculum by Senator Villar M.
Referred to the Committee on Higher, Technical and Vocational Education.
1799, anak ensuring gender-responsive and inclusive protocols and programming to address the gender-differentiated needs of women during emergencies, including public health concerns, pandemics, and natural and man-made disasters, by Senator Villar M.
To the Committees on Women, Children, Family Relations, and Gender Equality, Health and Demography, and Finance.
1800, anak establishing a green public recruitment program for all branches of government, by Senator Villar M.
To the Committees on Sustainable Development Goals, Innovation, and Futures Thinking, and Finance.
1801, anak mandating the formulation and implementation of programs on sleep disorder awareness, by Senator Villar M.
To the Committee on Health and Demography.
1802, anak promoting the use of baybayin as a tool for cultural development of the Philippines, providing for its promotion, protection, preservation, and conservation, by Senator Villar M.
Referred to the Committee on Culture and Arts.
1803, anak preserving the genius sports and games of the Philippines, by Senator Villar M.
Referred to the Committees on Culture and the Arts and Sports.
1804, anak visualizing the appointment of economic and investment promotion officers in local government units, amounting for the purpose of Public Act Number 7160 of the Local Government Code of 1991, by Senator Villar M.
To the Committee on Local Government.
1805, anak establishing a national high school in Barangay San Roque, Municipality of San Isidro, Province of Davao Oriental, to be known as San Roque National High School in appropriating funds thereof, by Senator Go.
To the Committee on Rules.
1806, anak enabling banks to expand
Institutions and currencies.
1807, anak further promoting renewable energy. 13, otherwise known as the Renewable Energy Act of 2008, and the Public Act Number 7160, otherwise known as the Local Government Code 1991, and for other purposes, by Senator Marcos.
To the Committees on Energy, Local Government, and Ways and Means.
1808, anak amending the Public Act Number 11697, otherwise known as the Electric Vehicle Industry Development Act, and for other purposes, by Senator Marcos.
To the Committees on Energy, Trade, Commerce, and Entrepreneurship, and Ways and Means.
1809, anak providing for the creation, organization, and operation of digital banks, amending for this purpose the Public Act Number 8791, otherwise known as General Banking Law of 2000.
To the Committee on Banks,
Senator Marcos.
Financial Institutions, and Currencies.
Additional reference.
Additional reference of business. First reading. 1810, anak strengthening the Commission on Elections by increasing the manpower complement in field offices, providing office spaces separate, independent from local government units, and appropriating funds for amending for the purpose Batas Pambasa bilang 881, otherwise known as the Omnibus Election Code of the Philippines, as amended, by Senator Aquino.
To the Committees on Electoral Reforms and People's Participation, Civil Service, Government Organization, and Professional Regulation, and Finance.
1811, anak converting the extension campus of the Cebu Technological University in the municipality of San Remillo, province of Cebu, into regular campus and appropriating funds for, by Senator Aquino.
Committee on Rules.
1812, anak converting the extension campus of Technological University in the municipality of Tabuelan, province of Cebu, into regular campus and appropriating funds for, by Senator Aquino.
To the Committee on Rules.
1813, anak converting the extension campus of Technological University in the municipality of Tabogon, province of Cebu, into regular campus and operating funds for, by Senator Aquino.
To the Committee on Rules.
1814, anak converting the extension campus of the Cebu Technology University, Bantayan, in the municipality of Bantayan, Bantayan Island, province of Cebu, into independent regular campus and operating funds for, by Senator Aquino.
To the Committee on Rules.
1815, anak creating the Department of Education, Northern Iloilo Division, and operating funds for, by Senator Aquino.
To the Committees on Basic Education, Civil Service, and Government Organization, and Professional Regulation, and Finance.
1816, anak providing for institutional, structural, and systemic defense reforms in further purposes, by Senator Ligarda.
Referred to the Committees on National Defense and Security, Peace, Unification, and Reconciliation, and Finance.
1817, anak implementing a lifeline rate for internet services, amending for its purpose Section 17 of Public Act Number 7925, otherwise known as the Public Telecommunications Policy Act of Philippines, by Senator Marcos.
To the Committees on Public Services and Finance.
1820, anak establishing a comprehensive integrated and sustainable orientation program for overseas Filipino workers by Senator Villanueva.
To the committees on migrant workers and finance.
1821, anak promoting the adoption of digital payments for financial transactions with the government and all merchants by Senator Villanueva.
To the Committee on Banks, Financial Institutions, and Currencies.
1824, anak defining and penalizing racketeering influence and corrupt organizations providing civil remedies and forfeiture of illegally acquired assets and for the purposes by Senator Marcos.
To the Committee on Justice and Human Rights.
1825, anak exempting the importation of medical supplies and equipment from customs duty and value-added tax by Senator Marcos.
To the Committees on Ways and Means and Health and Demography.
1826, anak strengthening the government procurement, amending for the purpose Republic Act number 12009, otherwise known as the New Government Procurement Act by Senator Marcoleta.
To the Committee on Finance.
1827, anak amending section 15, 21, and 25 with Republic Act number 6770, otherwise known as the Ombudsman Act of 1989, and providing funds therefore by Senator Marcoleta.
To the Committee on Justice and Human Rights.
1828, anak further strengthening the Anti-Money Laundering Act, amending for the purpose Republic Act number 9160, otherwise known as the Anti-Money Laundering Act of 2001, as amended by Senator Marcoleta.
To the Committees on Banks, Financial Institutions, and Currencies, and Justice and Human Rights.
1829, anak to further combat financial fraud perpetrated against public funds, allowing private individuals to institute actions for false claims on behalf of the government by Senator Marcoleta.
To the Committee on Justice and Human Rights.
1830, anak mandating accessibility, inclusivity in all tourism sites for persons with disability and senior citizens, operating funds therefore and for the purposes by Senator Tulfo E.
To the Committees on Tourism, Social Justice and Welfare, and Rural Development and Finance.
1831, anak to establish a Philippine Coast Guard Academy, allocating funds therefore and for the purposes by Senator Marcos.
To the Committees on Public Services, National Defense and Security, Peace, Unification and Reconciliation, and Finance.
1832, anak promoting internship by initializing a financing program for micro and small enterprises through the Pondo sa Pagbabago at Pag-asenso program and promoting funds therefore by Senator Tulfo E.
To the Committees on Trade, Commerce and Entrepreneurship, Economic Affairs, and Finance.
Resolutions. Resolution number 291. Resolution directing the appropriate Senate committee to inquire in need of legislation on the status of production and publication of the Philippine map reflecting to the West Philippine Sea pursuant to Receipt Order number 29, within the view of ensuring the timely production, publication, deposit, and international notification thereof by Senator Marcoleta.
To the Committees on Foreign Relations and Environment, Natural Resources, and Climate Change.
297. Resolution honoring the life and legacy of Honorable Jose de Venecia Jr., expressing the deepest sympathies and condolences of the Senate upon the passing of the former Speaker of the House of Representatives and venerable statesman.
Majority Leader.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move that we consider proposed Senate Resolution number 297. Mr. President.
Senate. Yes.
Proposed
Senate Resolution 297. Consideration is in order.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. May we ask the Secretary to read the title of the measure?
The Secretary is directed to read the title of the measure.
Resolution honoring the life and legacy of Honorable Jose de Venecia Jr., expressing deepest sympathies and condolences of the Senate upon the passing of the former Speaker of the House of Representatives and venerable statesman.
Mr. President, I move that we recognize the distinguished sponsor, principal sponsor of the measure, Senator Sherwin Gatchalian.
To sponsor the measure, Senator Sherwin Gatchalian is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Majority Leader. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, today we mourn the passing of a titan of Philippine politics, the longest-serving Speaker of the House of Representatives in the post-war era, Jose de Venecia Jr. It is my privilege to sponsor a resolution honoring the life of this great man and expressing the deepest condolences of the Senate on the occasion of his passing. When I entered politics in 2001 as the representative of the 1st District of Valenzuela City, JDV was my first speaker. In many ways, he was a pivotal part of my formative years in public service. He was a leader, a voice of reason, and a figure of stability and continuity that was synonymous with our democratic institutions. Indeed, many would seek to emulate him as one of our nation's great parliamentarians and peacemakers, and an instrumental figure in organizations such as the International Conference of Asian Political Parties and the Asian Parliamentary Assembly. One of JDV's greatest gifts was the capacity to bring people together from different political camps and backgrounds to work for the common good. He was the architect of the Rainbow Coalition and the Sunshine Coalition, which were critical to ensuring the stability of government during turbulent times. During the term of President Fidel Ramos, JDV constantly held vital continuing dialogues with the leadership of the Moro National Liberation Front, or MNLF. The efforts of the Peace Panel culminated in the 1996 peace agreement between the government and the MNLF. This is just one example of the flair for diplomacy and consensus building that made JDV a worthy champion for peace and progress. Ultimately, JDV's legacy is one of quiet service, of reliability, of building bridges between diverse peoples. It is a legacy that brought a sense of calm and stability to government, opening the door for lasting change, reform, and progress to make its way from the halls of Congress to the households of our countrymen. It is a legacy that influences my work in public service to this day. In closing, I would like to express my deepest condolences to Congresswoman Gina De Venecia and to the rest of the De Venecia family. You will always be in our prayers, and we thank you for the privilege of knowing Speaker JDV. We will always strive to honor this example. I know that his life will inspire future generations of civil servants to follow in his footsteps and work tirelessly for a more peaceful, harmonious nation. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Gatchalian. Majority Leader.
Thank you very much. Lauren. Thank you very much, Mr. President. Mr. President, I'm next to co-sponsor the measure. May I just use my speech yesterday and my manifestation as the co-sponsorship of this particular resolution, Mr. President?
Yeah.
For the
Is
record.
there any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Mr. President, next to give a co-sponsorship speech is no other than our distinguished colleague, Senator Lauren Legarda.
Senator Lauren Legarda is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Parang kailan lang tayo ay nagbigay ng pahayag sa Senate resolution, maybe a year ago when he was here. He was very much alive then. I'm glad we did so. I think it was Senate President Chis Escudero at the time. Yes, so I'm glad that we did that. I rise today, Mr. President, with deep sorrow to honor the life and legacy of former Speaker Jose De Venecia Jr., our beloved Manong Joe. I extend my heartfelt condolences to Congresswoman Gina, Manay Gina to many, and the entire De Venecia family, including our colleague in Congress, former Congressman Christopher Toff De Venecia, who shared with him, with the nation, for so many decades. JDV was a statesman of rare vision. He was a journalist, a diplomat, a legislator, a global advocate for peace. He was the longest-serving Speaker of the House of Representatives, and under his leadership, the House became a forum for bold ideas and national renewal. He believed in dialogue, in coalition building, anong tawag nun? Rainbow Coalition, similar to what Majority Leader Migs Zubiri espouses, and in the power of consensus. His initiatives for peace, from Mindanao to the Middle East, reflected his conviction that the Philippines must always be a bridge for understanding. But beyond the titles and the accomplishments, I remember the personal kindness of Manong Joe. In 1997 and early 1998, yan, ang bata pa natin noon, when I first became a senator, still learning to navigate the world of politics, he believed in me. Hindi po ako siguro tatayo bilang senador dito ng pang-apat na termino kung hindi po niya ako pinili kasama ni Manay Gina at kasama si then President Ramos na masama sa kanilang lakas slate. In fact, nagtanggal pa po sila ng mga kabinete nila sa lakas para ma-accommodate po sa 12-man slate ang babaeng batang journalist at the time. He encouraged me to take the risk and quietly stood by me. I would not be here today if he had not given me that trust. What I will remember most are his simple words of encouragement, his genuine guidance, the way he made you feel that your work and your voice mattered. He was not one to impose, rather, he guided with gentle persuasion. I remember during the campaign, he would talk about globalization in 1998, when the crowds were rowdy and clapping, and he would talk about his vision for the Philippines and for the world as early as then, and perhaps the people were uncomfortable with such discourse in a campaign rally. But I recall conversations with him on the plane when we would take the flight together. As a neophyte in politics, he would handpick me to join him in some meetings and in rallies where the other more veteran re-electionist senators could not make it. Kasama ko po nun si Bobby Barbers, kasama ko po nun si Tito Gingona, kasama ko po nun si Rene Cayetano. Kasama ko nun si Nani Perez, kasama ko rin nun, was it Nina Rasul? Yes. No, not Jovi Salonga, Mr. Senator Villanueva. So, I would be reminded that politics is not about power for its own sake, but about service and the responsibility to uplift lives. He believed that leadership was measured not by titles, but by the ability to inspire others to act with courage and conviction. His legacy will live on in the leaders he inspired, the policies he championed, the countless lives touched by his vision of the Philippines that is strong, respected, and at peace. And even beyond his terms as speaker, he would attend global fora and speak about peace, sustainable development, and he enjoyed how, as a young senator, I tried to espouse climate resilience when nobody else quite understood what it meant in 1998. He would call me, Iha, alika, paliwanag mo sa akin ito. Naintindihan ka ba? Ikaw ba ay nagsasalita tungkol dito? And we would talk about it. Whether it would be in Asian and ASEAN forum, or even Middle East meetings, or even in the European Union and in the IPU. Thank you, Manong, for the trust, the guidance, the friendship that I will forever honor. Your example will continue to light our path, and your memory will remain a source of strength for all who believe in the power of service and the promise of our nation. And on a more personal note, Gina, who is a dear Manay, like a sister to me, asked me to say goodbye to Manong Joe in his last hours. I videotaped a short message on my phone and sent it to Manay Gina on the morning when he passed away. Sabi ni Gina, pagkatapos daw nakita yung video ko, Joe, nag-goodbye si Loren. 10 minutes after, he passed away. And Gina, even this morning, told you he loved you so much and believed so much in you. And that to me is really tugs at the heart and is much appreciated For such a great man, a global Filipino, who was sometimes misunderstood and way ahead of his time in the 80s and the 90s, he also was the first, maybe, OFW who opened the doors for overseas Filipinos as well. There's so much that can be said about a great mind and a great man, and often quite misunderstood. Pero tuwan-tuwa po ako nung pinag-uusapan niya ang mga issues na bumabagabag sa mundo ngayon way back in the 1998 campaign. Rest in peace, Manong Joe. We love you.
Thank you, Senator Ligarda. Majority Leader.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Before I recognize your distinguished colleague, Senator Joel Villanueva, I take assurance that he's now with his daughter, Casey de Venecia, who he was very fond of. And when she passed away at a very young age, when their house burned down, he never stopped thinking about her. So I'm happy to take note that at least, hopefully, they're together in heaven, Mr. President, enjoying their life together that they missed out because of the early death of his daughter. Mr. President, I'd like to recognize our distinguished colleague, no other than Senator Joel Villanueva, to also co-sponsor the measure.
Senator Villanueva is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, our dear Majority Leader. Mr. President, dear colleagues, we join all the members of this August Chamber in celebrating the life and legacy of the esteemed Jose de Venecia Jr., former Speaker of the House of Representatives, a pillar of Philippine lawmaking, and a statesman whose imprint on our republic will endure for generations. We extend our deepest condolences to Manay, Tita Gina, Congresswoman Gina, Congressman Toff, and the entire family of Tito Joe. Let me first pay tribute to the great JDV for his many accomplishments. He served as House Speaker from 1992 to 1998, and again 2001 to 2008. The very first, Mr. President, to hold the speakership 5 times in separate terms. Among the landmark measures he authored are the Build, Operate, Transfer Law, widely known as the JDV Law, the Basis Conversion and Development Act, the New Central Bank Act, the Low-Cost Housing Law, the Migrant Workers and Overseas Filipino Act of 1995. His advocacy, Mr. President, for migrant workers would later inspire this representation in crafting the Department of Migrant Workers Act. His legislative record alone would secure his place in history. But Speaker Joe de Venecia gave far more than laws. He gave leadership. Hence, I rise today, Mr. President, not only as a former member of the House of Reps, but as a grateful colleague who had the honor of working alongside him during his speakership from 2001 to 2008, a defining chapter in the life of our legislature and our country. Those years were not easy. Our nation faced political transition, economic uncertainty, and profound questions about governance. At Ginoong Pangulo, sa gitna po ng mga hamong ito, si Speaker Joe de Venecia stood as a steady and principled leader. Ipinakita po niya sa atin na ang tunay na pamumuno ay hindi po nasusukat sa kapangyarihan. Kung hindi po sa kakayahan niyang makinig, umunawa, at magbuklod. As Speaker, he understood that authority in a democracy is built not on command, but on consensus. He listened carefully, respected dissent, and believed deeply in the power of dialogue. Sa mahahabang caucus at mainit na mga debate sa plenaryo, tinitiyak ni JDB na mayroon pong puwang ang bawat tinig at pananaw. He was not merely fluent in the rules of the House, but deeply committed to their spirit. Under his leadership, the Chamber remained a true home of free debate and democratic process, an institution he strengthened and protected. Halos isang dekada rin po kaming nagkasama ni Speaker JDB sa mababang kapulungan. At kung matatandaan niyo po, ang grupo ng minorya noon ay nakapag-produce ng 9 na senador dito sa Senado. Nandyan po sila Senators Alan Cayetano, Senator Chis Escudero, Senator Amy Marco, Senator Risa Ontiveros, Senator TG Gingona, Senator Noynoy Aquino, Senator Cynthia Villar, Senator Sani Angara. Nasa minorya man po kami noon, Ginoong Pangulo, marami kaming natutunan kay Speaker JDV. Mula po sa malalaking usaping pambansa hanggang sa maliliit na bagay. Hindi lang po kami sa minorya ang nakarating dito sa Senado dahil na rin sa kanyang impluensya. Narito po ang ating Majority Leader, Senator Mig Subiri, Senator JV Ejercito, Senators Camille and Mark Villar, Senator Sherwin Gatchalian. Marami pong pinamana si Speaker JDV doon po sa Kamara de Representantes. Naalala ko, Ginoong Pangulo, noong tumakbo po siyang Pangulo against sa President Erap. Nung natalo po siya bilang Pangulo, nakakagulat kasi yung bahay niya dito po sa Makati, araw-araw punong-puno ng tao. May catering, may tanghalian, may hapunan. Pero nung natapos yung eleksyon, I remember going there with my dad. Tatatlo lang po kami, Ginoong Pangulo. Minsan sumasama po si Manay Gina, nagba-Bible study po kami. At sinabi po noon, at tandang-tanda ko ni dating Speaker Jody V, sabi niya, dahil po doon sa mga Bible studies, at sumasama po siya sa amin noon, nag-anniversary ang JIL sa Hong Kong, sa Taiwan, nakakasama ko siya, nakakatabi ko siya sa eroplano, marami po siyang kinukwento sa atin. At tandang-tanda ko po sinabi po niya, balang araw, at dahil dito sa mga ginagawa natin, na-realize ko na hindi pa tapos ang Diyos sa akin. At balang araw, makakabalik pa rin ako. At nangyari nga po, nakabalik po siya bilang Speaker of the House. Siya rin po, Ginoong Pangulo, ang may idea na dapat magkaroon ng party list representative sa House Committee on Rules. Kaya po, dumating yung pagkakataon noong 2002, ako ay kauna-unahang naging part ng Committee on Rules ng House of Representatives. Idea din po niya na dapat ang party list group ay magkaroon din ng representasyon sa Commission on Appointments. At nangyari din po sa biyaya at habag ng Diyos, tayo po ay naging kauna-unahan ding miyembro ng Commission on Appointments representing the party list group. At simula po nun hanggang ngayon, lagi na pong may party list representative doon po sa Commission on Appointments. Beyond the gavel and the title, Speaker De Venecia, Mr. President, was a mentor. Hinikayat po niya ang mga nakababatang mambabatas noon. Lagi po niyang sinasabi ang importance ng pag-aaral, importante na makapagsalita ka mula sa iyong prinsipyo at laging tandaan na ang panunungkulan ay isang sagradong tiwala ng sambayanan. Marami po sa amin ang hinubog hindi lamang bilang mambabatas, kundi bilang tunay na lingkod bayan dahil sa kanyang halimbawa. Today, Mr. President, with heavy hearts, we join this august chamber united in remembrance and gratitude. We honor a life devoted to service, to country, to institution, and to democratic ideals. Ang kanya pong pamana ay mananatili sa mga batas na kanyang itinaguyod, sa kamara na kanyang pinatatag, at sa mga leader na kanyang hinubog. Thank you, Manong Joe, Tito Joe, Speaker Joe, for your leadership, for your wisdom, and for your lifelong devotion to the Republic. Hindi po kayo malilimutan ng sambayanang Pilipino. Maraming salamat, Ginoong Pangulo.
Majority Leader.
Very nice manifestation, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move also to recognize a distinguished colleague, Senator Jinggoy Estrada, to give his sponsorship of the nation.
Senator Jingo Estrada is recognized.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, my dear colleagues, I rise today to co-sponsor proposed Senate Resolution number 297, honoring the life and legacy of former House Speaker Jose De Venecia Jr. and expressing deepest sympathies of this august chamber on the passing of a towering figure in Philippine politics, the husband of Pangasinan 4th District Congresswoman Manay Gina De Venecia. JDV shaped the face of politics and internal security. In the years of his illustrious career, he believed in the power of dialogue, having played a pivotal role in securing a successful peace agreement with the former secessionist Moro National Liberation Front and in negotiating both a ceasefire and a peace accord with the Armed Forces Movement Young Officers Union. As one of the longest-serving speakers of the House of Representatives, he dedicated his life in serving our nation for peace, prosperity, and respect, even to his political rivals. He faced formidable opponents, including my father, former President Joseph Estrada, during the 1998 presidential elections. Yet, what truly reflects statesmanship is that despite political differences, we regard one another as true family friends. And that bond remains to this day. In fact, last year, both Speaker Joe and Manay Gina de Venecia visited my father at our residence in Green Hills, San Juan, and I was observing both of them talk in our dining table. Nakakalungkot dahil sabi ni Speaker de Venecia sa tatay ko, ikaw ba nakalabang ko noong 1998? Sabi ng tatay ko, di ba, tinalo ba kita o ikaw ang nanalo? Medyo nakakalungkot yung pagkikita ng dalawa, pag-uusap ng dalawa dahil both are already in their advanced age. Hindi katulad noong 1998 when they were really very bitter rivals. But after that incident, of course, after the election day, they became best of friends. Anyway, his friendship with the Estrada family continues to remind us that politics is indeed temporary. Beyond politics, he was a devoted husband, father, and grandfather. Tito Joe, thank you for your leadership, dedication, and your belief in the Filipino people. Muli, ang aming taus-pusong pakikiramay sa mga naulila ni Congressman Joe de Venecia. Maraming salamat po, Ginoong Pangulo.
Majority Leader.
Maraming salamat, Mr. President. Next to also sponsor the measure is no other than Senator Mark Villar, Mr. President.
Senator Mark Villar is recognized.
Mr. President, my dear colleagues and guests of the Senate, good afternoon to all of you. Today I rise with profound respect and deep gratitude as this chamber adopts Senate Resolution number 297, honoring the life and legacy of former House Speaker Jose de Venecia Jr., a statesman, a leader, and an inspiration for generations of public servants, including myself and many of those who sit in this chamber today. But for me, of course, I call him Tito Joe. As much as one's demise is an inevitable part of life that is filled with sadness, grief, and pain, it is also an opportunity for us to honor, commemorate, and celebrate one's life. Former Speaker Jose de Venecia is a prominent figurehead of Philippine politics, recognized as the longest-serving House Speaker, leading the lower chamber across different political landscapes and for almost 2 decades. He is a resolute leader whose steady hand harmonized varying and opposing voices towards genuine reform, peace, and unity. Mr. President, my father had the honor of working with JDV when they were both in Congress in 1992. My father recalled fond memories with the Speaker and the commitment he had in pushing for policies and initiatives that truly turned the lives of Filipinos for the better. And personally, marami po akong memories kay Tito Joe. Nung ako po ay estudyante at nag-a-apply po ako, gumawa po siya ng napakagandang recommendation para sa akin. At ako po ay malaking bagay po ito para sa akin dahil natanggap din ako sa college na in-applyin ko. At malaking bagay yung recommendation niya. This was I was 17 and I believe at the time Senator Camille was 10 years old. So Marami na po kaming pinagsamahan ni Tito Joe at malaki pong utang na loob kay Tito Joe. Malaki pong effect niya sa buhay ko. JDV has left a legacy of legislative accomplishments that define the socio-economic and political landscape we know today. He championed multi-sectoral legislation that uplifted the quality of life of many of our constituents. Former Speaker De Venecia was a leader who fought for genuine peace and unity. He was an instrumental figure in various international cooperation initiatives and interfaith dialogues. Tito Joe was also a peace envoy who braved the lines of conflict and fostered discord, and that led to a final peace agreement in 1995, ensuring that all of us Filipinos lived in a country that is united. To the family of Speaker De Venecia, especially to his wife, Representative Gina De Venecia, Tita Gina, and the bereaved family, we extend our deepest sympathies. The Senate shares your sorrow in remembering a life well lived and a public service well delivered by the late Speaker. I also wish to pay respects to the people of Pangasinan, his beloved constituents, whose lives he championed with grit, determination, and integrity. I also wish that, Mr. President, as we adopt this resolution today, let us move forward in unison, carrying the legacy of people-centered service, just as Tito Joe had. May his memory be held as a paragon of service to each and every Filipino that we serve. Maraming salamat po. At muli, nakikiramay po ako sa naiwang pamilya at mga kaibigan ni Speaker Joe De Venecia, Tito Joe. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank
you
you.
very much.
Majority Leader.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Next to also sponsor the measure, Senator Erwin Tulfo, Mr. President.
Senator Erwin Tulfo is recognized.
Mr. President, dear colleagues, yesterday, the nation lost a pillar of Philippine politics, statesman, a parliamentarian, and a builder of institutions, former Speaker Jose Joe De Venecia. A son of Pangasinan, Speaker De Venecia served the House of Representatives and was elected Speaker 5 times. An enduring testament to the trust of his peers, he championed landmark measures that helped shape our modern economy and governance. The Build, Operate, Transfer, or BOT law that laid the groundwork for public-private partnerships, laws on the conversion of military bases, and key reforms that strengthen our financial and institutional framework, such as the creation of the Central Bank of the Philippines. Beyond our shore, secure the Philippines, he founded the centrist Asia-Pacific Democrats International and the Asian Peace and Reconciliation Council. He was a peace envoy during the Ramos administration and a special envoy for intercultural dialogue under former President Duterte's term. Many may not know it, that Speaker Joe began as a journalist. He studied journalism at the Ateneo de Manila University and served as an editor of the Gaidon. He later worked as Manila Bureau Chief and Philippine correspondent for the Pan-Asia Newspaper Alliance and wrote on Asian affairs even before martial law. In the late 1960s, he co-founded the Radio Philippines Network, better known as RPN9, one of the pioneers of broadcast journalism in our country. As a journalist myself who later entered public service, I see Speaker De Venecia's familiar journey. The passage from telling the nation's stories to helping shape its direction, he understood the power of information, dialogue, and truth in building democracy. Behind the public record was a quiet life of service. He extended help to orphanages and homes for the elderly and was a steady source of support during calamities. His generosity reached not only Dagupan and Manila, but communities across the Visayas and Mindanao region. Today, Mr. President, we honor a life spent in service of laws passed, bridges built between peoples, and help given without cameras. On behalf of the Senate, I extend our deepest sympathies to his family and loved ones. May his legacy remind us that public office is, above all, duty to build, to reconcile, and to serve. Thank you, Mr. President.
Majority Leader.
Senator Bongo would like to also be recognized.
Senator Christopher Bongo is recognized.
Mr. President, esteemed colleagues, I rise with deep respect to co-sponsor the Senate resolution honoring the life and legacy of former House Speaker Jose de Venecia. I extend my heartfelt sympathy and deepest condolences to his family, loved ones, and friends, lalo na po kay Congresswoman Manay Gina de Venecia, sa aking kaibigan na si Congressman Tof de Venecia, at sa mga anak nito at buong pamilya ng de Venecia. Kaibigan ko po yung mga pamangkin niya way back high school. Former Speaker de Venecia devoted decades of his life to public service, leaving an indelible mark on our nation's political and legislative history. He was a statesman whose name has become known for public service, sound leadership, and unwavering dedication to the Filipino people. Wala pa po ako sa politika, pero ang naalala ko parati pag speaker ay si Speaker de Venecia ang parati nating naririnig. From his early days in public service to his tenure as Speaker of the House, he consistently championed the interests and welfare of the Filipino people. Under his leadership, the House of Representatives was not merely a legislative body, but a beacon of hope and an avenue for progressive change. He served as a special envoy for intercultural dialogue of the DFA during the administration of former President Rodrigo Duterte. Former House Speaker de Venecia served as the founding chairman of the International Conference of Asian Political Parties. During his career, he became instrumental in securing a peace agreement with the MNLF, Moro National Liberation Front in southern Philippines. Mr. President, former Speaker de Venecia was a tireless peacemaker, and his work resulted to various peace agreements and amnesty programs. Aside from being a 5-term Speaker at the House of Representatives, former Speaker de Venecia has been for years a trailblazer for the Filipino people, Asia, and the world. His contributions extended far beyond the confines of our legislative halls. On the international stage, he was a respected diplomat and a visionary leader who understood the importance of building bridges between nations. Parati niya pong binabanggit noon nung nagkakausap kami ay ito pong bilang founding chairman po ng International Conference of Asian Political Parties. As we honor the life and legacy of former Speaker de Venecia, let us always remember and be guided by his legacy, a legacy of hope, perseverance, and an unyielding commitment to the welfare of all Filipinos. Thank you, Mr. President, at paalam po, Speaker Jose de Venecia.
Majority Leader.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Mr. President, may you also recognize Senator Risa Ontiveros to sponsor.
Senator Risa Ontiveros is recognized.
Pwede yun, no?
Salamat po, Mr. President. Una po, taus-pusong pakikiramay kina Representative Manay Gina de Venecia at sa ating kapwa Arts and Culture Advocate Tof de Venecia. Kasama na po ang mga panalangin at mahigpit na yakap sa kanilang pamilya. Mr. President, we honor the legacy of former Speaker Jose de Venecia Jr., a visionary who understood that good governance is inseparable from the well-being of our people. Through our shared work in the Philippine Legislators Committee on Population and Development, PLCPD, we champion the future where every Filipino family is empowered through reproductive health rights, gender equality, and the protection of children. Speaker JDV's commitment to institutional reform reminds us that true leadership lies in crafting policies that uplift the most vulnerable and ensure a sustainable, dignified life for all. It was during his term, one of his terms as Speaker, that the Cheaper Medicines Act was shepherded through the House, a piece of legislation that remains one of the most vital shields for our people against the high costs of falling ill. He understood that to truly empower the Filipino, we must first break the monopolies that keep life-saving drugs a luxury. Mr. President, Speaker JDV's Rainbow Coalition was more than just a political maneuver. It was a testament to his belief that unity is the primary engine of progress. Whether from the same side of or from across the political aisle, one could not help but admire the sheer force of will he applied to the service of the Filipino people. Mr. President, minsan ko na pong ikunento ito dito sa Senado na nung tumatakbo po ako para sa re-election noong 2022, muli po akong bumisita kina Speaker JDV sa kanilang bahay sa Dagupan. Dahil kahit alam ni Speaker na hindi po ako sumusugal ng pera, bagamat sumusugal sa ibang mga bagay, sabi po niya sa akin noon, Risa, huwag ka nang magkampanya. Sigurado ka nang mariri-elect. Sinagot ko sila noon, Speaker, hindi po ako naniniwala dyan. Wala pong sigurado, kaya puspusan po akong nangangampanya. Ang sagot naman po niya sa akin noon ay, o sige, ganito na lang. Pag ikaw natalo, babayaran kita ng 10,000 pesos. Pero kapag ikaw ay nare-elect, ikaw magbabayad sa akin ng 10,000 pesos. Pagkatapos ko pong ma-re-elect, paulit-ulit kong sinusubukang bayaran yung utang ko sa kanya. Sabi niya, iya, wag na. Ngayon, wala na po akong pagkakataong bayaran yung aking utang sa kanya. Pero, sa mga natitira ko pang taon at dekada ng buhay, babayaran ko po ang utang na loob ko kay Speaker JDV in ways that are worth much more than mere money. Today, Mr. President, through our Senate resolution, we bid farewell to a statesman who taught us that in the grand waltz of democracy, we must always keep dancing and moving forward together. Salamat po, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator De Veros. Majority Leader.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Mr. President, we'd like to also put on record that we'd like to, these following distinguished colleagues of ours, Senator Padilla, Senator Camille Villar, Senator Pia Cayetano, and Senator Kiko Pangilinan would like to insert to the record their co-sponsorship speeches of the measure, Mr. President, for the record.
Therefore, we so inserted all the enumerated members of the Senate.
Mr. President, before we act on the matter, I'd like to also move that all members be made co-author and co-sponsor of this measure, Mr. President.
The motion is approved. All members are made co-authors.
Mr. President, just my final say on the matter. A lot of us gave our private personal insights. Senator Risa has hers. I have had several. But I would like to just say for the record, while working with this distinguished statesman, and that's why probably he was a statesman, he had no mean bone in his body. As a matter of fact, pag may sumisigaw na sa plenaryo, naalala ko yun, iniinsulto na siya, pagbaba niya sa plenaryo, yayakapin niya. Hindi niya, how do you say, di papansinin or isasnabin niya. Di diretso siya dun sa taong yan, yayakapin niya at itatanong, ano bang may tutulo, ano bang problema, how can I fix the problem? Ganun siya. And I think to a certain extent, he was one of the last few statesmen that we had left. Of course, we had Senator Juan Ponce Enrile, passed away recently. We've had Senator